Hey, welcome back. As promised, you are now watching See Today Business with Indra Marpang and taking out, taking out personal loans to buy homes and furniture isn't a terrible idea, but it's also not the best idea. And millennials have yet to mature into home ownership. Now, for more on how house hacking is helping millennials to secure home ownership, we are now joined by finance enthusiast in the studio, Dani Rachmat. Good morning, good to see you again.
Morning.
This is a bit different than what we used to talk about. We used to
Yes.
talk about stocks, and now we're going to talk about home ownership, which is one of the most expensive
Yeah.
investment.
Many news that millennials cannot buy home nowadays.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite hard. It's quite price. I'm not sure. Is it the price of the house or is it how much we're making? Oh, again, it's
Actually, how much we make? Yes, it plays important
roles on the.
roles
Okay.
on the ownership, but also the price of property that always went up, unless after the pandemic that the price is just
Kinda stagnant.
stuck there.
So far, in Indonesia, I haven't seen the price gone down because I've seen that before in the US in 2008. The prices that
Actually,
went up.
the property price nowadays is just fell flat, if
Flat,
not went down. But then after pandemic, up until today, the price will not get back yet because the interest rate is that high, and then people still see. So many people nowadays see that they can work from anywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, before we go in, which is this is the conversation. There's one question. Marissa asked me this earlier. Would you put your house investment on your portfolio of your investment right away, or do you want to wait until you paid it off?
Depends on how you want to utilize, how you want to use the money on your home.
Right.
Actually, when you buy your property, your home for the very first time, and you use that home and stay there, you can include that in your
As an
investment.
investment, right.
Yes. But still, that is still your asset.
Yes, it's an asset, but
Yes.
it's kind of hard to call it an investment. But we will
Yeah.
talk about that. That's what we'll discuss it more. But let's discuss this. So with the concept of going into debt, going into debt to meet the household needs, what percentage of the salary would we have if we wanted to do this concept? So let's give an example. I think like people been on your Instagram talking about this. We're talking about buying furnitures. Like we're talking
Yes.
about like, let's say like, everybody need a kitchen.
Yes.
So that's like one of the basic needs when you already own a house. Even if you're renting, you probably want to have like a nice, decent kitchen. So like how many percent of our salary should go to building the nice that, I want to put on my Instagram, like I'm in the kitchen right now.
Yes, of course. Of course, we want to have the first and foremost is we want to live comfortably in our home, right? And as answering the questions, we always talk about budget. When we talk about budget, the part of our salary that can go into debt service is 30%, 30 to 35%.
Wow.
So
That's
quite
quite
big.
an investment.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to say the word investment right here, but like that's quite a big chunk of your salary
Yes,
that's
yes.
going to make a livable house. All right.
But that is including your mortgage payment and
Okay.
also the debt that you want to use to fill your house, right?
Okay.
But then you can always utilize the 0% interest, installment for 12 months. I mean, if you are coming from the regular people with just decent salary,
Okay.
and you don't have parents that will supply you with everything, that is one of the most effective way to achieve that.
All right.
Why? Because using the loan and we pay in installment for 12 months, 24 months, it will ease your cash flow, monthly cash flow.
Okay. So according to Dani Rachmat right here, he mentioned that it's okay to live comfortably. It's totally okay, and at the same time, if you need to take a loan to fill your house, let's say kitchen, sofa. I don't know how big of TV that you want to buy, but at the same time, if you want to buy those items, then do it part of the 30% that you're already putting in of the mortgage and all that kind of stuff, add up to it, and then put it on that. So there's a question: if we don't have a what's so-called like a steady job or a steady salary, how do one determine the installment plan?
Actually, for that one, for like freelancers and people without the steady job from a company, then you must already know what are the income sources that you have, right?
Okay.
And then from that, you have to very certain on the level of expenses that you have every month.
Yeah.
So then, after you know the level of expenses, then you can set aside, you can budget your expenses, which one that will go to debt payment and which one that will go to the regular household expenses. So from there, then you can budget your your income that is not fixed. So every time you got income, then you set aside to fulfill that minimum expenses that you have.
So what you're saying? Well, first of all, get your books done correctly. So again, what you're saying is, even though you don't have that steady income, or like if you're a freelancer, there's still a way that you know how to do this installment. Now, what type of goods? Like when can we at home buy something in installment, and which one would you say like, oh, let's not do installment on those items?
The rule that I apply to myself when let's take out an installment for this, is that for the goods that I can use more than minimum 2 years.
Minimum of 2 years?
Yes, like cell phone. I use my last cell phone like for 7 years. So I took the 12 months installment with 0% interest. So I will use it like 7 years. Even more like refrigerator that you will use like 10 years or more.
Probably more.
Yes, for kitchen kitchen set and everything that maybe will forever in your home. Then why don't you take that into installment instead of paying off upfront?
No, that's interesting. You mentioned that. So let's say I'm gonna go crazy a little bit here. So let's say we're gonna buy a fridge, and then the fridge gonna cost you 10 million rupiahs.
10 million rupiah. Yes.
So you know what? Let's make it easier. Let's do 12 million rupiahs. So you break it down, a million rupiahs every month. So let's say you have a mortgage of 3 million every month.
Yeah.
So do you count the 30% against the 12 millions right away in upfront, or you put it 30% for the 1 million?
For the 1 million. For the 1 million. For the installment each month.
Okay.
So not for the total value of the stuff that you buy.
All right.
So that for fridge, I will just do 24 months, 0% interest. Why? Because it will lower my cash flow.
Your payment.
Yes, my payment, and will make my cash flow better.
Yes.
I can use the rest to invest in whatever the asset that I can invest.
Again, we've been talking about investment, your options like for almost a year now. Like, so your options are out there, like whatever you want to invest, but at the same time, I understand the return, but at the same time, as you mentioned, so let me go back to again. So when you, from your salary, you want to have 30% for your mortgage and house needs and all that kind of stuff. And then from that 30%, you can put in some installment right there for your basic needs. Like if you say like refrigerators, some kitchen set.
Or maybe cell phone if you need it for work.
I can put cell phone on that 30% too. Again, just make sure like when you do the installment, it's actually go into that 30% to begin with. Now, there are companies that offers people to buy with 0% interest, but at the same time, not all items have that.
Not all items,
0%.
Of course.
At how many percent would you cap it out, and then would you? Is there like certain things that you will say like this one is okay, this one is not?
That will come back to the questions that whether you really need it or not.
Okay.
If you don't really need it and you don't buy it and you can just go on with your life just fine, then just don't buy it if there is some interest there.
Okay.
Why? Because we want to lower our expenses as much as possible, right?
Okay.
So why do we have to pay interest? Why do we have to pay fees if we don't really need it? So that come back to the questions that what things that we cannot buy with that. so that if you want to do, what is it? So many people doing it nowadays. I want to have like self-reward. I want to have something that is nice, but using pay later, online loan. So those kind of things, please refrain yourself to do that because you don't really need it.
Okay.
What we really need is living comfortably.
All right, so as the title mentioned, it's millionaire homeowners. You're taking out loans for homes. So now we're talking, can we also talk about like, you know, homes is a big investment. Like
Yes.
the average, I don't want to say the average, but like the entry point in Jakarta is like around 300 to 500 millions
Is there?
apartment.
Is there? Oh, apartment.
So
Okay.
that's why I say like it's an
Property,
entry,
yes.
it's an entry point for properties. And then like, if we're talking about, you know, let's not go with 30%. Let's say 20% down
Yeah,
payment.
down by 20%.
So you're probably gonna have a payments of around 5 to 6 million every month.
Yeah.
So 5-6 million every month for payments. So how much money do you need to make in Jakarta to actually, let's say, to actually buy into that entry point level?
If you want to have that kind of property that you have to pay 5 million per month, then you have to have like 15 millions per month of salary.
Salaries.
Yeah,
Okay.
15 millions.
All right. So to live in to afford the cheapest, I would say, can I say cheapest entry level
Yeah,
apartment
yeah.
for Jakarta? Even then, that's probably already like outskirt of Jakarta. We're talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
West Java and Banten maybe.
Banten, yes. But then there is still an option because public transport nowadays is already
Getting better?
Yes. If I cannot say a lot better, 10 years ago.
Yes. Oh, comparing to 10 years ago. Yeah, I'll accept
a lot
that.
better, and that is the option that we can take. I mean, rather than spending 500 millions in apartment in Jakarta, we can buy like 200 or 300 millions property outskirts of Jakarta, and we can use the public transport and everything.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about a little bit about that. So let's use that number. So 500 million
Okay.
in 500 million in Jakarta or 2 to 300 million outside of Jakarta.
Yeah.
Would you rather invest outside of Jakarta and have the expenses for traveling, or would you take the Jakarta and then lower your cost for traveling?
That will depend on the priority. On
Okay.
what is your priority? Do you want to take that
Long commute?
commuting time? Yes, because I love that commuting. I can create contents
Ah,
for
that's
my
right.
social media and everything.
Which is, by the way, if you guys follow his content, he's actually go to the train station and he actually make the content of the train
Yeah.
station. So that's kind of cheating in a way.
I can still have that, but then
Okay.
if you want to, you don't want to be very tired getting home and everything,
Yes.
and you want to be able to wake up later than if you live like 40 minutes from Jakarta.
Right. So if you
then
prioritize your sleep,
Yes.
then don't live too
don't
far
buy,
away.
yes.
Okay.
Just buy somewhere in Jakarta.
And then
Yeah.
reduce the commute. Again, your priorities will help you on that part. Now, back again we're talking so much about investment.
Yeah.
Would you consider any of these items as an investment?
Actually, yes. Buying our first home for first house and then we living in it. At first, yes, we can calculate that as the part of investment.
Okay.
But then later on in life, when we want to retire and everything, hopefully that our property prices already go up so much, and then we can decide that we can move to smaller property or maybe cheaper city,
Yes.
and then we can use the asset
To
to
actually
add
offset
up to our
on
retirement
your
fund.
portfolio or your
Yes.
investment. So that's interesting that you mentioned that. So for people who are not familiar, so the house investment, it usually takes about like 15 to 20 years in Indonesia to pay
Yeah.
off. So let's say in 15, 20 years, as you mentioned before, hopefully your house price is gonna go up by then.
Yeah.
It should be to offset all the interest rate that we already paid
Yes.
off and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Now, at the same time, there are people, I talked to my co-host and I was like, would you take out the loan? And they say like, no, I want to pay it off. I want to make sure I have the money before actually purchase anything. Your take on that?
For people like me that I don't have parent with money to give out to me to buy that property, and my only choice is to take out the mortgage and yeah, go with 15, 20 years of payment. Why? Because yeah, that is the only viable option for me. Because if I wait until I have the money, the property that I want to buy maybe it's not there forever.
Okay.
By the time I have the 500 million rupiah and I want to pay cash, the price is already maybe 750 or maybe
Probably.
1 billion rupiah.
Yes.
And that happens.
That happens, yeah.
Yes, that happened. And my option to get that property, because I don't want to live like 2 hours, 3 hours from Jakarta.
It's getting further away.
Yeah, that's too far, not viable anymore. So yes, I will take out that property. What people usually forget is that they only remember about the debt. They only remember about they have to pay for 15 to 20 years.
Yes.
They have to pay that amount of debt. What they forget is that on the other side of the balance sheet, there is asset there. There is property. Maybe you buy like 500 million, but then within a year, 2 years, 550, and then within 5 years, it went up to like 750, 1 billion. So the asset here, you always have to remember that balance sheet always have 2 sides, not only debt sides, but also asset sides.
All right. So with that, so what you're saying is, even though there's a interest rate that we're paying today, but in long term, you're gonna have an asset which is like
Yes.
when you reach the age of 40, like me, then you can
Hopefully
then you can use
sooner.
that asset against to borrow money for whatever else that you need. You probably want to start a business or anything like that, which
Yeah.
is I would like
Yeah.
to do. Again, Mas Dani, thank you so much. It's
Thank you
always a
very
pleasure having you here. Let's take a break with that, but we'll have more updates from around the world when we return on the C Morning Show, so stay with us.